Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Talkin Kop. I'm your host, Matt. I'm joined by my regular crew of Kev, Chris, and Ashley, and we are here to discuss, I'm not even sure what derby number this was, but it was Merseyside derby number 7,940 or something like that. Which ended at Anfield.
Like 246th or something, if you care about that kind of a thing.
Yeah, okay. I know this was our 100th win. That's what I know in the Merseyside derby, so there couldn't have been much more than about 250 of them because we're just better than Everton. That's the way it goes because it's finished 1-0 for Liverpool. Kev.
Hi, mate.
A derby is a different type of game, and that was another one of those strange derby games.
Yeah, it was Look, we completely dominated it. Should have been at least one down, if not two down at halftime. And found a way to win. And that's all that fucking matters. It's all that matters is 3 points. It doesn't matter a blind bit of fuck about anything else. You can talk about referees, you can talk about this, and we'll talk about all of it. But I couldn't give a fiddlers. 3 points is all that fucking mattered. A performance would have been nice. Don't care. 3 points. A win. And by hook or by crook, a clean sheet and a goal. That's all you fucking need to win a football match. A clean sheet and a goal. And we got that. Happy fucking days. Delighted with that.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, we're at the point of the season now, especially with a 12-point lead. I guess it was a 9-point lead coming into this game, that you get a lot of people trotting out that old trope of performances don't matter. All I want is the 3 points. And this was, like Kev was saying, exactly one of those, because the performance, not so great, but the 3 points are delicious at this point.
Yeah, it's standard derby, wasn't it? It was not a great game. I'll be honest, I thought Liverpool were bang average first half, really, really flat. Better second half, but, you would like him to be a bit more of a level up. But listen, you guys all know I hate the derbies. I absolutely can't stand them. I quite like to get them out of the way. So a win will do it. And I actually thought the good thing was that 1-0, I thought we managed the game much better. It was less chaotic than what we made it at Goodison. So look, I'm happy with that. That's our 100th Merseyside derby win. So another record for us, And listen, I'll be honest, it was nice to see one of the other attackers actually contribute, because they've been too reliant on Mo Salah. If Mo Salah's a bit quiet, everybody else goes, well, what can you do? So it's quite nice to actually see one of the other strikers actually do something, which was nice.
Yeah, you can't just entirely be relying on Mo Salah, who I think now is properly in a slump. I mean, it feels like, honestly, a month since we've actually played a game of football.
I think it's really only about 3 games that he hasn't had a contribution, but it does feel like forever.
That's a slump, though, Ashley. That's a slump. I mean, it all looked like a massive hangover. The last show that we did, obviously, was after the League Cup defeat to Newcastle, which came on the heels of getting knocked out of the Champions League by Paris Saint-Germain. And it felt like, especially in the first half, that like, what happened? Like, where was the reset from the international break? Because it felt like we were continuing on in a very worrisome vein. And I would put to you, Ashley, that at halftime, things changed because I felt we were much better in the second half.
Yeah. I mean, sort of back to the tried and trusted slot reset at halftime and having him make some changes. I thought that first half was really flat. I was very close to coming on to our chat saying, pull Jota. He's not doing anything, which is why I'm not the coach of this team. But yeah, it looked very reminiscent of sort of the banging the head against the wall that I mentioned in the pre-match, where it was like, everything's kind of funneling through Diaz. He looks really bright. He's very creative, but between him and Jota, there's no end product. And, when you have Mo Salah having an off day, it becomes very difficult for us to score sometimes. And to have that kind of persistence and have it actually pay off for the first time in God knows how long. I think that's the first time that Jota has scored in about 3 months. So just getting him on the score sheet again and just getting that kind of off of his back. I'm thrilled for him. I'm thrilled for the win. I needed that win so much just to kind of do a hard reset, because that break just felt like an eternity.
It really did feel like an eternity. I think Jota's last goal was the one off the corner from Simicast after they'd both just been substituted on. I think that was
First
Yeah.
goal in,
Yeah,
Yes.
when would that have been? Gosh,
I think, 10 games
a
back.
long time ago, anyway.
it was a while ago.
I think that was Forrest. Or something like that. I don't know. They all kind of run together because yes, it's been way too long. It honestly felt like it was a summer break that it was so long because I don't give two shits about international football. Olivier was asking. He said he didn't see the match, but was wondering who played right back, and that was the big news that came out when the lineups dropped. Kev, I mean, there was two bits. It was the fact that Jones was getting the nod at right back ahead of Jarrell Kwanzaa. And Allison not passing what presumably was a concussion check for the boot to the head he took on international duty. And the boy from down your neck of the woods is called on and picks up the clean sheet.
Yeah, he just froze there on me a sec. But yeah, look, the lineups came out. I said on the post-match or the pre-match show that I wanted to see Jones playing right back, so I was happy with that. Allison one obviously is a surprise, but the concussion protocol is what it is. It's set down in stone, and you don't risk players' health. And apparently, Slot said in his pre-match interview that he ticked all the boxes bar one, and they just that was it. It's black and white. You don't play him. That's it. But he also said in that you got Kelleher coming in, who, in all honesty, is probably too good to be Allison's number two, which is fair. So yeah, I had no problems with that part of the starting lineup. The other part of the starting lineup was a big surprise. I don't think any of us had Jota starting up front. But when you look back in hindsight, bar Jones coming in at right back, that was the same 11 that started the game against Newcastle in the League Cup final. So he's tried and trusted. And that's what he's going to go with between now and the end of the season, as far as I can see. He'll go with who he trusts the most, and he'll make whatever changes he deems necessary in a game, but he'll go with what he needs to. And look, the proof's in the pudding. We dominated the ball, didn't really test Pickford too much, got the win. And in fairness, at some certain points of the game, got out of jail a couple of times. But yeah, it was definitely. I was all right with the starting lineup, but I was definitely surprised that Jota started.
Yeah, it seems to be who he's going with now that Jota's back fit. It seems like Arne has decided that trying Luis Diaz through the middle isn't going to work. He quite clearly has Darwin Núñez sitting on the same bench as Wataru Endo and Harvey Elliott and Federico Chiesa in terms of I just don't really like you that much. So you're just going to stay over there unless I absolutely need you. Chris, Kev talks about getting out of jail, and we're obviously going to come on to the two Everton chances, but nobody got out of jail more in this match than James Tarkowski, because for the life of me, Chris, how that isn't a straight red card.
It's shocking. And it's bad when, and give him credit, for Sky at halftime, we had Carragher and Duncan Ferguson. So Carragher gave his reasons why he thought it was a red card. And I went to Doug Ferguson. I was waiting for it's a good tackle, the usual sort of jokey stuff. And he was deadpan went, that's a straight red. He goes, I may have got away with that in my day for touching the ball. Said that's been a red card for years. That he said, I can't believe VAR haven't just said to the ref, go and have a look at it. They said it's.
You mean Paul Tierney, who never gives us anything, who was on.
And he also, but to us, they were all quite critical of the actual referee, saying, I don't know how he thinks that's just a yellow card. He knows what he's doing there, Tarkowski. He knows what he's doing. He knows that is the old-fashioned, get a bit of the ball, I'm going to make sure I get the man. And you've seen reds for much less. Curtis Jones at Spurs comes to mind. The only thing that we're lucky with is McAllister's foot wasn't planted. His foot was half off the ground. So with the force of it, the momentum took his leg up. If his foot had been planted, that's a leg break. That's a massive injury. And yeah, it's just the way it's going with these referees at the moment. 15 replays and they can't see anything straight front of the face.
I think it's actually an achievement to be as bad of a referee in this Everton game as that first Everton game, because that bar was real high for them to have a worse performance. This was right up there. I didn't think Sam Barrett could do it, but he did.
I think the thing that pisses me off more than Paul Tierney and him missing it is, and it does my head in, the bullshit PR crap that comes from the PGMOL going, well, we looked at it, but it's not dangerous enough for it to be overturned. Bullshit.
Miss implies that they didn't see it, though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They saw it. They looked at it however many times.
Stop covering.
And they chose to deliberately overlook it, is what they did.
I'd rather PGMOL said nothing than this bullshit.
The worst thing about that overall thing, he did see it, and he saw it as a yellow card. He can't say that he didn't see it because he deemed that it was yellow. He can't say that he didn't see the contact because VAR said it was okay. The referee that's on the pitch has a clear line of sight from it. He's the closest person to it, and he saw it as a yellow card, and he never recovered from that decision. From that decision on, he was brutal. And Paul Tierney is a senior, experienced referee. And Sam Barrett, I didn't say it was Sam, but Barrett was his first time. I think it was his first time refereeing at Anfield in the first place.
Second.
Was it?
He did Norwich, but his first Premier League game he'd done it.
It's too big of a game for him. It's way too big of a game.
It's a Merseyside derby. After what happened in the first game, you knew it was going to be fiery. It's always a fiery game anyway. You generally don't see soft fouls given all the time. The referees will let the game flow. And you don't mind that as long as you let it flow for both sides. But when you see a reducer like that come in the first 5-10 minutes of a game, you stamp it out. That game could have got a lot worse for players if you look back even into Carragher, Gerrard's day, Duncan Ferguson's day. That game would have escalated from there, and you'd have had maybe at least 1 or 2 red cards from either side because it would have flared right up. He is really lucky that in this era of player that they're more professional and they tend to try to manage themselves as much as possible. It was a horrendous tackle. Tarkowski knew exactly what he was doing. He followed through and he made sure that he caught the player. It was a disgraceful tackle. It's almost what VAR was brought in to do. And the referee and Paul Tierney, absolute failure. Complete failure.
I think it's Paul Tierney more so even. I get that he's young and inexperienced and he doesn't want to make a big call. It's 11 minutes into the game. He doesn't want to make that. He should, regardless. It shouldn't matter when that happens. But I get that he's young and inexperienced and doesn't want to sway the game. But Paul Tierney has a duty to come in, and there's no excuses there. There's nothing that you can say looking at that in slow motion, in regular speed. I don't care. Every single box is ticked. And the fact that Paul Tierney decides, no, that's fine, it's unfathomable.
It felt to me like he's been, how can I put it, pre-warned, there's the myth that is, listen, don't let the crowd influence you, big games, Anfield, Old Trafford, that. So it's almost like he went into the game going, I'm not going to let the crowd influence me. I'm going to call this down the middle. And he got himself in such a tiz over it. He called nothing. So it ended up becoming farcical because, you had Jota, who got WWE wrestled to the ground in front of the linesman, doesn't give anything. Just turn around and go, you dickhead, you've missed that. And then he goes, I'll book you for it. And you could tell by players' reaction. You could even tell by the Everton players' reaction, who looks and goes, fucking hell, I got away with that one. You could tell by players' reaction, they know when they've got away with one. Tarkowski looked petrified and I didn't touch. You could tell by players' reaction when they go like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna get done here." He took
the card out of his pocket really quickly. He'd already made up his mind. He made up his mind with it. He didn't even give himself breathing space to have a think. But in all fairness, I remember they showed a video. They inserted a video of Mike, Mike Dean. They were on Sky Sports News doing like their version of a watch along. And he turned around and he just said, wait for it. When you see the still, you'll understand. Everyone gasped. Everyone just gasped and thought, how? And that's what I was like. I was like, how is that in any way, shape, or form in 2025 the way football is, how is that anything but a red card? In what hemisphere does a yellow card come out of your pocket in that decision? Because to bring out a yellow card tells me you've seen it and you've made that decision. It's a horrendous call. He needs to be pulled. I think he probably is a good young referee, and hopefully he'll fucking learn from it. But the PGMOL and the FA, the Premier League, need to pull him in and just look. That cannot happen again. That was as bad a decision as you'll see.
If I was, and look, I'm not. If I was Man City or Man United fan, I would be on the phone to PGMOL tomorrow saying, Paul Tierney has just seen a replay of someone having a leg break tackle and thought it was fine. Fuck off! You think he's doing our game? That's going to lead to an injury. He can't even see something with 3 replays. So what's he going to see? But we know what will happen because McAllister isn't injured, as far as we're aware. Liverpool got the win. It'll get brushed under the carpet because it won't be the main talking point of the game. Because the main talking point of the game will be Liverpool are 12 points away from securing league title number 20. With 8 games to go. That's what it'll be. The good thing for us is, if you're an Arsenal fan, that's probably the game you were hoping Liverpool would drop a few points in. Just to put a little bit of doubt in. And the game, they're like, fuck's sake, Liverpool were at the best and they've still got the win. What we're going to do?
Oh, they're going to fucking cry about it is what they're going to do. Ashley shared a lovely stat, which is James Tarkowski now has the joint most yellow cards without ever being sent off in Premier League history at 63. So very much like Harry Kane, he's never had a red card, so you can't give him a red card now. There's a precedent that's been set that you can't do it. My take from it is I would have liked to have seen, because I can get a young referee coming into that environment, a Merseyside derby, wanting to manage the game and not let the occasion of it overwhelm him. But by having an official as experienced as Paul Tierney on the VAR, I want to hear the conversation take place between the VAR and the on-field referee, where Tierney just asks him and says, did you see where his foot, after he made contact with the ball, did you see where it made contact with Alexis McAllister's leg? And just make sure that Sam Barrett saw it, because that's the only thing I can think is that it's a quick motion. I'll give him that. And this is the reason that you have video replay, is because something like that, it happens in an instant. And the referee, even though he's got a great sight line, you can be in the middle of a blink and miss the most pertinent part of that challenge by Tarkowski. But just to have the VAR go, did you see his foot make contact with the leg? And if he goes, yep, I think that's a yellow card. If we can hear that, then that's where the blame lies. But now we're in this gray area where we don't really know. But if Paul Tierney goes, did you see where the foot made contact? And he goes, oh, it just looked like he cleaned him out after the tackle. And he can go, no, I think maybe you should come over to the screen and have a look at that, because he puts his studs right clean into his calf. And I shared the still image with you guys in our little WhatsApp group. If that's the image that's on the screen when he's walking over to review this, it's a red 100 times out of 100, because he's got both feet off the ground. One of those feet is right in the middle of Alexis McAllister's calf, full studs. And the only thing that's touching the ground to keep him in control is his hand, like a breakdancer. Like, it looked like, it's been a while since I played Mortal Kombat, but I think it's like down, back, low kick to do like a sweep kick sort of thing. Like, it's outrageous.
Well done for remembering that.
I think it's either down, back, low kick or down, ahead, low kick. It's one of those, but it's been 25 years since I played Mortal Kombat. Ashley, the other outcome of the instantaneous VAR review upholding the yellow card is I felt that we lost the little bit of momentum that we had built up in the first 10 minutes of the match. And it wasn't long after that the ball's in the back of our net. It is called off for offside, and I will give that the side judge there, or lines person, credit. They got their offside calls bang on all game. Their foul calls, not so much, but their offside calls, they got bang on all game.
They have to do something right eventually.
Yeah, it was fairly tight, but the ref on the field put his flag up. But it was a precursor for what we were going to see for the rest of the game, Ashley. That is pathetic defending from Virgil van Dijk, even if the player's offside.
Virgil's back was turned, so technically it was Konate that was covering him. It was pathetic from both of them. So I'm not going to let one of them off the hook. They both looked rocky. They looked tired, especially Virgil. He played over 200 minutes over the break. Unlike Gravenberch, who looked refreshed, because he had that break off. I think Virgil looked tired. He looked tired. I think Konate looked rocky. And just, I get that Beto, he's a thorn in like their side. He has given them trouble in the past, but I mean, that was all too easy. And I get that they're probably going to say, oh, yeah, like we knew he was offside. It was marginal. It was close. It was way closer than I wanted it to be. And there was one later that we'll get to that was not offside. And if Beto was a better, finisher, then we would have quite easily been 1-0 down. I think you could have gone into that halftime thinking we were fortunate not to be 2-0 down at times. So yeah, the defenders are not going to get my man of the match today. I'm just going to kind of give that away early.
You're going early with that. I mean, we'll come on to the second one to you. We'll come to you, Kev, for the second chance, because you said before we went live, Kev, you think this might be the miss of the season. It's a great pass. I think it's from Doucouré to put Beto in. He starts from inside his own half, so this time he's onside for sure.
Yeah, it was. I'm literally just watching it here. Konate goes to try to win the ball in their half, misses it. Beto makes the run. The ball goes out to the side. He puts the pass through, and Beto is inside his own half when the pass is made. Poor touch initially, brings Virgil face onto it. He tries to clear it and he flops his lines. And Beto, the ball runs forward. He has to be finishing that. And it's as bad a miss as you'll ever see. It hits the post and we get away with holy murder there. It was a catastrophe of errors from Konate going to try to win a header and not getting it right because it takes him out of position. The ball, and that leaves Virgil isolated, which ordinarily you wouldn't mind. But Beto gave the two a right going over all night long. It was a torrid night's work for the two Liverpool centre backs. Back of him,
Roy Fitzgerald earlier saying, "Get that Beto lad up front against Arsenal at the weekend," because Chris, he looked great. I mean, Beto was part of that raft of strikers that came into the league, I think 2 or 3 seasons ago, which was like Nicholas Jackson, Darwin Núñez, Rasmus Højlund, Beto. They all came in, and all of them failed to impress in any way, shape, or form. And on current form right now, like the best one out of that group might actually be Beto at Everton. Because, I mean, Diaz were, I think 9 games undefeated coming into this game. He's taken that number 9 spot, and you wouldn't expect the 2 colossi we have at the back in Ibou Konate and Virgil van Dijk to just get bullied by a player like Beto. Yeah,
I mean, listen, I don't think he's, obviously we all know he's not the best finisher, but look, he plays to his strengths and the way Moyes has them set up. And listen, it's very easy to take the piss out of David Moyes because he's never won at Anfield, but credit where credit's due. I think tactically he got them set up really well, as in sit deep, but they had a threat on the break with pace and using Beto's physicality. And look, on another day, he could have been sat there 2-0 up at Anfield, and that, you can't really blame the manager for that. You've got to expect them. You've got to expect those players. I mean, he's just one of those weird players, Beto, where probably you don't rate him as one of the great strikers, but there's always been strikers that have in the Premier League. They're not great, but certain big players they just cause you an issue. The one thing about him is he doesn't give up on anything, and I think
very
that
Chris
early
Wood. Very Chris Wood without the finishing.
Yes, yeah, but but for me, I was a bit like with the Virgil thing is because he done Virgil for the offside goal. To me, Virgil panicked with the clearance because that's not a difficult clearance for him. It's nothing to do with better runner. He just panicked, absolutely panicked, and we got away with it. I mean, I actually think the second chance is even better. And I would probably say that is Liverpool's defensively a bit of an Achilles heel at the moment is the wide free kick. Because goals from corners, I think we've conceded 2 all season. Unfortunately, one was at a cup final, and it hurt. But in general, our defensive work from corners is absolutely fine. I think our record is, I think we have one of the best records for defending corners. That wide free kick, just sort of wide at the edge of the penalty area, that is where I think we have a little bit of an Achilles heel. We seem to be always caught between pushing out or attacking the ball. And quite frankly, he should score. I don't think it's that difficult a header for a Premier League midfielder to get on target. And I did think that got away with it.
We have a chance, though, Ashley, before halftime, Gravenberch puts a cross in, and there's kind of panic stations at the back for Everton, and there's a second ball, and who does it fall to? The one person you want the ball to fall to in an attacking area. Andy Robertson. And instead of taking the ball down and trying to lay it off to somebody who can possibly hit the goal, he goes for glory. And
if Andy Robertson could score, if he had any sort of like shooting boots whatsoever, he'd actually have a decent return. But
I've got to be honest though, how poetic would that have been if Andy Robertson scored in front of the Everton fans, because they fucking hate him.
Yeah, I mean, when he scores, it is meaningful. It is wonderful. I would have loved it, but at the same time, 99% of the time when he shoots, I'm like, could you maybe have just passed it, please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other chance you had, Mo Salah had a header. It was fine. Diaz put a good cross in, and it went to the back stick. He had a header. Pickford made an easy save of it. Not Mo's best trait is his heading ability, but it was a great position for him to be able to pick up. I didn't think we made enough of that. The other thing in the first half, I honestly thought, bar his final pass, Diaz you could see why Slot went with Diaz, because O'Brien didn't have a clue how to deal with him. He went inside him, outside him, took him on at will, beat him the vast majority of times. But when you look into the box and there's like 7 or 8 blue shirts in there with Pickford as well, picking up, you have to be so accurate with that cross. It has to be inch perfect. You almost can't put it on the ground. So you look who you're trying to pick out. Salah isn't great in the air. Jota, it has to be on his head to win it with the aerial. When you got Bradway, Tarkowski, and that lot, they're going to clear almost everything. So it was a frustrating half, but you'd argue that, look, we dominated the ball, but they had the better chances. You have to be honest about it. It didn't work Pickford anywhere near enough.
No, I don't think they end up having a shot on target in the first half, because against the post doesn't count, but it certainly felt like the momentum was more in their favor, and that if any team was going to score, it was going to be them. The stat from Ashley to back up what you were saying there about Diaz, Kev, no player in the game had more touches in the box of 8, chances created 6, or dribbles completed 5 than Luis Diaz tonight. And then there's a second one to go along with that. He's only the 4th Liverpool player to have all those numbers in a league game on record, along with Luis Suarez, who did it twice, Raheem the Snake, and Mo Salah, who's done it twice. I know in the Telegram group there was a little bit of divisiveness over Luis Diaz. I think some of that might have just been Brian O'Sullivan trolling, but get him off. He's doing absolutely nothing. But it did feel like there was a route forward there up against O'Brien. And I was kind of hoping at halftime, because I will also put my hand up. Chris wasn't the only one who thought Jota should be getting the old curly finger. I would have been very happy to see Gakpo come on for Jota at halftime, let Gakpo run at O'Brien, and put Diaz through the middle, because Jota was dropping so deep. He wasn't really playing as that target man number 9. But again, this is why we talk shit on YouTube, and Arne Slot is the manager of Liverpool.
I think I missed you guys 10 minutes in the second half. And Jota tries to do a little flick outside pass and sets them off on the counter. I think I just messaged you through that. Said, just fucking get rid of him now. Get him off. I've had it off.
It was
get
about
him off
like 3 minutes before he scored. It was almost perfect.
I was happy to be wrong. I always am when a Liverpool player doesn't think he's playing very well and then they score a goal. I'm made up for them. But honestly, before the goal, he was crap. He couldn't pass it. And you were watching on that dribble he's done. We haven't seen him do that for a little while. I think the last time he did that sort of a dribble was probably Fulham at home. It's a while since we've seen him do that with a bit of confidence. But I know what Kev said about Diaz. My frustration with Diaz is he feels at the moment all flair, no product. Beats a man 3 times, but the final ball is often lacking, which at the start of the season, that wasn't the issue. Actually, to be fair, the final ball was very good. But I don't know. It just seems to have lost his way a little bit, his radar, which is quite frustrating.
Yeah, you're never happy to see one of your players come down with the case of the Saint Maximans. That is not a disease you want any of your players to have. We're at halftime, so I'll run through my housekeeping here. Thanks to everybody that's made the switch over and joined us on Patreon. If you're not one of our Patreon members, because this is a free show going out on YouTube, if you want to give it a try, you get a month for free. You can check out all the shows that we put up there on Patreon behind the paywall. You get the vintage, you get the high five, you get the forward thinking, you get whatever the name's going to be for the Liverpool 11. That's a different way of choosing 11. It was Keith choosing best goal by position in the first ever episode of that. You also get Reaction Extra, which will come out tomorrow morning, I believe at 11 o'clock local time over there in Ireland and England. And I believe that's Ashley doing that with Gav. So that's going to be for our Patreon members live on Patreon. It'll be a live drop. So it's a pre-recorded show. It allows us to use some video clips, highlights from the game. So things like the James Tarkowski should have been a red card. Ashley and Gav will be able to go through that in a lot more detail using the videos, using the still images. So you get a much better idea of exactly what we're talking about as opposed to just us blathering on and trying to paint a picture for you. So again, if you want to join us over on Patreon, but you're not quite entirely sure if it's worth the money, try your free month. I think if you check out some of the stuff that's on there, you're going to be happy to pay your monthly membership. So, and again, thank you to everybody that's joining us over there. More and more of you are picking up how to do it. We're getting fewer questions of how does this work, which is good. Everybody's learning. That's very nice.
Apart from Red Steve and Brian, because they're useless.
Yeah, that's
okay. They've got other things to deal with. They've got cows and stuff. It's fine.
Yeah. They've got cows. Let's just let Brian deal with his cows and his fishing. The other thing is there was an article, I believe it came out yesterday or the day before in the Irish Independent, talking about Peter Smith of this channel and his upcoming portrayal of Phil Lynott at the Vicar Street Theatre in Dublin. I was not able to read the article because it is behind a quite hard paywall, but having seen the pictures side by side, turns out I've only listened to Thin Lizzy. I didn't actually know what Phil Lynott looks like. Turns out he looks like Pete. Holy shit. That is a spitting image. So It seems like this has been kind of a lifelong goal of Pete to be able to play Phil Lynott, and getting to do that in Dublin, I'm sure will be wonderful. So I'm not sure if there's any tickets for the June shows still available. I know the April shows are all entirely sold out, but congratulations to him on that. He's also got his movie Code Red Spain coming out. You'll find the links for tickets to his Phil Lynott show and the trailer for his movie in the description below on all the shows. Carrying on, I mean, Chris, I'll stick with you. We were both wrong. Kev was right, though. I mean, you can't just be throwing aimless balls into the box. It either has to be a perfectly delivered ball or you need a moment of magic. And this goal is the perfect summation of what I would picture a Diogo Jota goal to look like, which is how does he not lose it? How does he not lose it? How does he not lose it? He scored.
Yeah, it was nice cool head. Something we've not seen from him for weeks. And that little dribble. I love that he stood behind Tarkowski in offside position, let Tarkowski fuck his clearance up when he shouldn't have been on the pitch, and then he got given the ball back and dribbled through. And then I've got all my Bully friends getting really upset, thinking it should be offside, explaining that's not the rule. And now well, the rules should change. Never mind. Great. Even more fun to moan about. They could add it to their big fucking book of why Liverpool robbed them. It's grand. All in all, great. The only thing that would have made it more perfect, like I've said, would have been an Andy Robbo goal in front of the Blues. That would have been the only other thing that would have made it more perfect.
Yeah, it's when I watched it, like the first replay was like, shit, he's offside. They're definitely gonna call this one back. And I mean,
Gary Neville was praying for it. You could hear it in the comms.
Yeah, well, I mean, anything that causes bad things to happen to Liverpool is what he's going to pray for. But Gary Neville's a piece of shit, so don't listen to Gary Neville might be the best advice going. Kev, when you see the replay, you can tell that Luis Diaz realizes he's in an offside position, and he couldn't be any more disengaging himself from the play. So I don't know. I saw somebody there with a quote. I'm not sure if that was Ashley or somebody else about David Moyes.
That was me, yeah.
Yeah, complaining that it was an offside goal. Here it is. I'll put it up now. There's an offside goal, which they get. That is the difference in the game tonight. The players behind Tarkowski interfere with him in clearing it. It's a clear offside, a very easy decision. It's just not, Kevin. He's not interfering with play. Tarkowski just balls up his clearance, and Tarkowski shouldn't have been on the fucking pitch.
I have an awful lot of sympathy for David Moyes. It's not in the rules. You're right. It isn't offside. I have a lot of sympathy for him because Chris, we were chatting about it before you came on. Tarkowski plays that ball because of who's behind him, because he doesn't know if he's onside or offside, so he has to play the ball.
If he's not there, he lets it run through for a goal kick.
He lets it run. He lets it run through for the keeper.
And we've conceded that type of goal, and it's one of those ones where you're just like, yeah, it's a goal, but it feels like it feels like it shouldn't be, which is why I'm quite enjoying it, because it's really upsetting the Blues.
Yeah, it's not offside. It's not offside. It isn't. I mean, he doesn't interfere with play. It's not in the line of goal. It's not a shooting opportunity or a goal or anything like that. But Tarkowski plays that ball because Diaz is behind him, and Diaz is offside. And I think going pre-VAR, before they started messing about with the offside rules, he would have been given offside. So they changed it to try to create this situation where you would get more goals in games. Because when I first saw it, I thought he's offside. He went for the wall pass. He's offside. But when you see the replay, he doesn't play with it. He doesn't interfere with it. The ball is a lovely flick back into Jota's path. He takes 1-2 touch and puts it into the middle of the goal as well. Pickford goes dive into one corner, and Jota just waits for him to go and then just slots it in. And it's what we deserved for the way we started the second half. We were completely, totally dominant. And at that stage, it was a case of just work one good chance. It's all we need is one good chance. Up until then, we really didn't have a good chance. And it was deserved for the quality that we were showing at the start of that second half. But I understand where David Moyes is coming from. He's wrong on the rules, and David Moyes is a centre back as well. So, I understand where he's coming from, but the way the rules are written, he's just not offside. But yeah, I get exactly where he's coming from. I do. Well,
I was not expecting a huge amount of sympathy for David Moyes from Kev, so that's put that one on the bingo card along with the Mortal Kombat.
You know what? Do you guys remember the goal? I think it was Bruno Fernandes that scored in the Manchester derby, and there was a pass to Rashford. Rashford was clearly offside, and then Bruno Fernandes picked up the ball and he scored, and that was given, and there was all sorts of furor. There are incidents like this that happen all the time. That was a way clearer incident. And I understand that it is frustrating. It's frustrating when there are players that are clearly standing in offside positions that do have an impact. And maybe it's something where they need to have a look at the rules. But honestly, the way that they referee the games, I don't want these referees touching the rules any more than they already do, because it's toxic the way that they referee these games. So if they're going to allow that goal to stand, fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with the goal. I understand why someone might be frustrated, but by the letter of the law, the goal stands. He is technically not interfering in that first phase of play. Like Matt said, we'll talk about this later in the kind of post-match analysis, but it's one of those sour grapes things. They had things that went for them in the other derby, let it go, because this for me was not nearly as contentious.
No, it's minority report levels of refereeing that would be needed to be able to judge what would Tarkowski have done if that player hadn't have been there. You don't know that James Tarkowski wouldn't have swung a weak foot at that ball. Sam Tandy says, he just made a mess of the clearance. If he hammers that ball downfield, it doesn't matter if Diaz is offside or not. What matters is that James Tarkowski, who shouldn't have been on the pitch, fluffed his fucking lines, and it ends with a beautiful little piece of skill. So it's just really, really hard to accept that from David Moyes. And I mean, Sam follows up with, if it was the other way around, Moyes would say it should be a goal. It's just typical.
Of course you would. You expect nothing. You expect nothing less to come from David Moyes.
In 2 seconds, you'll probably see the slot quote that he throws in. He's like, "Yeah, according to the rules, it was a goal."
Yeah.
I mean, according to the rules, I don't even know what that means anymore. I don't even know what according to the rules means anymore. Because again, he shouldn't have been on the pitch. I mean, Ashley, from that point of the goal on, we get all of our substitutions and whatnot, and it really never felt too much like the game is clearly in the balance because a 1-goal lead is a 1-goal lead, and we got stung in the last Merseyside derby where Everton scored a late 2-2 winner to take all 3-1 points from us. But they really felt like Virgil kind of got his head screwed on a little bit straighter. Konate was there, and I'm going to go early because I always have to go last. Man of the match, Curtis Jones, playing so far out of position. Like, not to harken back to previous times, but if Jurgen Klopp was watching this game, having been responsible for teaching Curtis Jones how to defend, he would have been very happy with the performance of our makeshift right back tonight.
I think Klopp was the one that put Curtis Jones at right back for the first time. So, credit where credit is due. I think,
Gave him the captaincy to tease him, though, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can remember him playing in a couple cup games, and I think a Newcastle game where kind of shit hit the fan and he had to play there. But he did really well. I mean, I said before the game not to get into it too heavily. I think there's a little bit of poetry there about the other Scouser in our team playing right back in this game. And I think for me, he wasn't man of the match, but I think he stepped up and performed admirably. I think the rest of that half just felt kind of like, don't fuck up, don't fuck up, don't fuck up the whole time. For me, where there wasn't a whole lot of creativity. There wasn't, the game felt very attritional, where it was, we had done our business and we were just kind of waiting to see if they were going to spring some sort of last minute bubble bursting campaign at the very end. And they did try. There were a few times where they kind of had a couple corners that made me a little bit nervous. Our corners were nothing to speak of. So it was really just their corners that were making me nervous.
Did it bother you?
It did bother me. I think Chris was the one that was throwing it into our chat being like, can we just have one good corner? And I got chastised for asking for one good corner. So I don't know. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Are you trying to say I was fishing for something there, Ashley?
I think you were fishing for me with Ashley's specific bait.
Listen, I know the two things that get you riled up now: corners and winners at Brentford. They're the two things I can talk about, and that's
I can't even speak to the winners at Brentford because I didn't see them. So you know what?
Oh, sorry, I forgot you didn't see him, did you? No, forgot about that.
No, I didn't. It's why I still have kind of a vendetta against Nunes. He hasn't had that kind of full circle redemption moment for me. But I mean,
on Jones though, that clearance was in the last 94th minute. That was a class. If he fucks that up, I can't remember the players behind him, but they're in on goal.
I think it was
Tarkowski. It was offside.
Or was it offside? It's cracking clearance though.
Who cares? It was fantastic.
Yeah.
But look, the thing is with Curtis Jones, good footballers can play anywhere. And he's an excellent footballer. He's got a great football brain. And you can tell that, and he's consistent with it. His passing accuracy is off the scale. 93% passing accuracy tonight again. And I think it was actually interesting. Gary Neville, Carragher, and Ferguson were on Sky Sports News before the game as the teams dropped. And they were just chatting. And Carragher and Neville both made the point. When you're playing at fullback, you will be on the ball a lot more than what you think. Because most of the time you're going to be the out ball. And secondly, you have more space and time than you ever will in the middle of the park. So, and look, I've seen plenty of midfielders end up making excellent fullbacks.
James Milner.
Joshua Kimmich comes to mind. Joshua Kimmich is a superb centre mid, but he's an even better fullback. And he developed that as his career went on. And he became more influential from right back than he ever did as a six. So I know it's a means to an end right now, but it's another string to his bow as a footballer and an asset to the club. And going forward, I think he's a massive asset for Liverpool Football Club. Massive asset. And I hope he gets his flowers now, because the amount of people over the years that I've been on this podcast who've been screaming to sell him and shouting and roaring and bawling to sell him is no odds to no one. I think most people are guilty of it. So to see him now flourish and develop into the footballer that he is, I'm over the moon for him. And nobody deserves it more because he's put the fucking yards in. He's grown up. And I think he's grown up this season. This season he's matured. He was always a really good footballer. You saw what he could do playing in the middle of the park for England under 21s. And now you're seeing what he can do, the variety and that he offers a manager for Liverpool. It's phenomenal. I'm delighted for him.
I've still got football mates who are Liverpool fans who still say, "Oh, it's Sir Jones. I don't think he's quite good enough." I'm like, he's about to win you a league title, and it's not like he was a bit part player this year. He's played. He's one of the main forward midfielders who constantly rotates, and he covers 5 positions for you depending on injuries. People who still say he's not good enough, honestly, it's just now not a vendetta. That's the wrong word, but just don't want to admit you're wrong. Actually, he actually is very good. And I said to you, Kev, for years was he doesn't have to be the greatest player. Why can't he be the modern day version of Nicky Butt was for United? Nicky Butt will never ever get into a United all-star 11. He never will.
No.
But Alex Ferguson loved him, and he played loads against Ferguson, and his job was just filling for Keane while he's giving us, filling for Scholes, that's giving rest, fill out wide for Beckham, covers at full back, do the hard yards in the shitty months, and you'll get. And Nicky Butt ended up playing.
Look at his medal haul.
30, 40 games a season, but you wouldn't sit there and go, he's one of the all-time great. Thing you're saying, Darren Fletcher, he'll never go down as an all-time United great. But they're the sort of players you need. You could just drop them in anywhere, and they do the job for you. That's all you need them to. That's all you need them to do.
It's what we've been calling for him for years, and for anyone to sit here and now bemoan the fact that he's a really good squad player. It's we have been asking for him to take this step for so many years. We've been waiting. He's had weird eye injuries where his eyes got poked and nearly fallen out. He's had weird ankle injuries. We've been waiting for Jones to play this role.
Yeah.
And now that he's slotting in there, no pun intended, we're all going to kick him again. That doesn't seem fair. He has stood up to every single thing that Slot has asked him to do, and he's performed admirably in a way that other people on the bench haven't. I think that Slot actually has looked at him in a new light, and maybe from the beginning of the season, he might not have fancied him. And I think that over time, Jones has actually earned his trust over time and is really starting to kind of cement his role. I don't know as a starter, but as a very good squad player. I know he's not, I don't think anyone's saying that he's the best midfielder that we have, but he's a really good option.
Yeah. I think he's arguably the most complete midfielder that we have. Because I think he could do a job in any of the positions. And I don't think he'd skip a beat, no matter where he plays. You play him in the 10 role, he'll do you a good solid job. Play him in the 6, he's absolutely fine. Give him the ball at his feet and he'll never give it away. As we've seen tonight, give him a job at fullback. What I was really impressed with Arne Slot today was he told Curtis Jones to hold the whiff. I expected, when I said last night that I thought, or Monday night, I want to see Curtis Jones starting at right back, it was with a view for him tucking into the 6 role and Gravenberch or McAllister just joining Szoboszlai and getting forward. But no, he held the whiff. He did the job excellently. You can't fault him. And defensively, he was absolutely fine.
Yeah, he did everything you could have asked him to do. I like this comment from Sam Tandy saying Slot was clever first half by going down the left-hand side with Diaz more. It kept Jones not having to defend as much on the opposite side of the pitch, as they don't really have players that can make those long diagonal balls. It's quite a clever way.
That's a very good point. Yeah, it's a very good point.
The one detraction I would make to Curtis Jones's game is that there was points in kind of the middle 50 minutes of the game where him, Szoboszlai, and Gravenberch were all occupying about the same position on the pitch. And it was just a little bit too crowded because it allows 2 Everton players to mark out 3 of our players. And that, I think, just comes from him not having that confidence to bomb down the line, because he made a few runs early on and he didn't get spotted. And I think that's kind of that, oh shit, now I'm out of position. When you're not playing in your natural position, that notion of I'm not where I'm supposed to be. Holy shit, I need to get back right now. And then he kind of stopped doing that, and he settled into that right-hand channel pocket. But there was just too many of our players there. But I see if I can find that one here with the stats again from Ashley that completed 68 of 73 passes, 93%, won 3 out of his 5 duels, 1 possession back 6 times. Only Gravenberg won the ball back more times. I don't think you can ask for too much more. Chris, let's get on to the final incident of the game. Fuck, I can't stand Jordan Pickford, Chris. The whistle's blown. The whistle's been blown, so the play is dead. I don't think Tarkowski, I don't think Nunes, and I don't think Pickford have cottoned on to this idea. But he just smashes into him.
He's got history for this. I nearly went for Ashley then, but I didn't. Is
that a phrase now? I like that.
Yeah, he's an absolute twat. I didn't quite. I haven't got quite full C-bomb on him yet, but he fucking knows what he's doing. That way he wiped Nunes out. That's just what he does, and it's not just against Liverpool. He's done that to loads, and he gets away with it. And loads were asked before, why is Nunes booked? Well, you watch replays because he's off the pitch getting treatment. He rolls back on to delay the free start. It's actually, to be fair to Nunes, it's actually quite smart because it allows Liverpool to get back into position.
To be fair to the Nunes detractors, I'm almost certain that it's Alexis McAllister that tells him roll back on.
Yeah,
100%. But he waits back to the pitch, and it's a smart yellow to take. Just take the yellow. It's fine. And then you go to the ref. What do you mean you give me a yellow for? And it just, killed that for us a little bit. But he's just a tit. I mean, why hasn't he got to give a yellow card? Yes, the whistle is gone, but you can't book a play if they do something that is classed as foul play. It was really
This ref wasn't going to do anything. This ref was not going to give us a single 50-50 throughout this game at all.
Yeah. And
I was just screaming at the telly to play the fucking advantage. Look at where the ball is going.
He was about 3 times he did that where Liverpool rightfully were given a free kick, but you're going, the advantage is on. And listen, maybe that's an experience thing. Maybe when he's got like a full Premier League season under his belt or 2, I know I saw him recently in the overlap and he comes across as a bigger bell in there than Mark Clapperberg. But that's fair to him, was his strength, which was he would wait that extra couple of seconds to go, there's the advantage, and then he'd bring it back. That was one of his strengths. Since he's left being a Premier League referee, he's just become a bell end because, we all know. But I'm not going to pick people's names, but I'm giggling at some people in the comments here. Honestly, we're 12 points clear at the top of the league. There's only 24 points to play for. You're looking at league title number 20. First time we'll see a league title with fans in the ground. And there's still people going, the midfield, this is shite, and this guy's not good enough. Honestly, just my opinion, enjoy it. You don't, as we've seen, this will be our second league title in 5 years. Before that, we went 30 years without one. Enjoy it. Enjoy the league title wins. It's nice to be, as I think it was in the page today, look at Liverpool, all these problems, top of the league. Enjoy it. It's far too many want to focus on something to cry about. Just enjoy it. Were Liverpool perfect today? Absolutely not. Do we need to play better against Fulham? Definitely, because Fulham have got much better attacking players who can hurt you, and we have seen Fulham hurt good teams. I think Fulham are the only side to do the double over Newcastle and Forest, and they've took points of Liverpool, Chelsea, and Arsenal. So this weekend is going to be a tough game because they're a sort of side that are like Brighton. They're better at punching up against the better sides. They actually struggle playing sides below them. That's what they seem to struggle with.
Yeah. Well,
anyway, sorry. A little rant over. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. I'm going to run through some of these quotes because you queued me up quite nicely to one from Virgil, and then I'll come back to you and we'll go through our man of the match and whatnot. Virgil van Dijk after the match says, "Everyone wants to be in our position," which, 12 points clear at the top of the table. 12 points clear at the top of the table.
4 wins left. That's what
4 wins to go. 8 games left. Arsenal's road is running out real fast. Now we have to keep going, keep the same mentality as we've been doing all season. That's the mentality you want to hear from your captain. But let's go back up here. Stats. Here's another one from Virgil. "We work so hard to be in this position. We have to keep going, keep focused, and keep the same mentality. The season so far has been outstanding." Diogo Jota says, "Massive, of course, not only because it is a derby, but because of the international break. It was important to start with 3 points, and hopefully that gives us momentum for the rest of the season." That's the exact same quote. There we are here. I always believe in myself and believe that chances will come. The 3 points was the most important today. Some fun stats. Gravenberch became the youngest player to start each of Liverpool's first 30 matches of a league season since Robbie Fowler. I think he's the youngest midfielder since like the 1971 season and the youngest non-Brit to have ever started the first 30 matches. Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk also with 30 starts in the league as well too. Mike Dean with the quote, "I don't care what the match center says. It was a stonewall red card." Well, thanks for that after the fact. Arne Slot being very diplomatic, talking about Tarkowski's challenge. "Everybody said something about it. Why should I add to it? It's so obvious that it is not necessary for me to comment." Instead of
I got away.
Tarkowski,
Key line is I got away with it, and you all know it.
yeah. Slot continues. He says, "I would prefer to talk about Diogo's goal or Curtis Jones's performance." David the Dinosaur says, "I understand nowadays things are slightly different with follow-throughs. We might have got a bit lucky, but don't put that with the goal because the goal was a different incident."
Same player though.
Yeah. Jordan Pickford saying, "The VAR says it's not a red card, so that's the decision. It's a game of football as well." Oh, here's the first part of his quote. He says, "You've seen at the end, he apologized. It's probably a bit of a high foot, but he's done what he's done, and he's apologized." So there you go. Arne Slot says, "I'm a manager who likes to press high, which Everton doesn't do." There was points tonight where I thought that Everton was kind of pressing somewhat high. Arne says, "If you go all the way up to the halfway line and someone is in an offside position but has no intention to play the ball, we were not lucky. The rule is what it is. I would love to change the rule because it is in favor of the offensive team. Execution of the rule was done perfectly by the referee, but I feel the frustration about the rule." So, Kev, that kind of goes to what you were saying in terms of that gray area that's there. I'm kind of surprised to hear that Arne Slot would like to change that. He's really showing his defensive slant there. That
I think the way he's going to look at it is you can set up a plan to play for an offside trap, but you have to know that the player who's behind you is going to be flagged offside irrespective. So if you know that from the start and that's your plan, you know where you're going with it. But when there's a gray area or when there's doubt, players panic, players drop. It makes it much more difficult to play a high line in an offside traps when you've got gray areas like there is in that rule. And you see the gray area come into play when is he in the line of sight of the goalkeeper? Is he active? Is he not active? There's too many ifs and ifs and ifs, and you're like, there's no definitives. I understand the reason why they took it out of the rules was because they took intent out of the rules because the referee cannot know what's in the player's mind. So they took it out and they come up with this solution. Now, it is what it is, and Slot is right in what he's saying. By the rules, the way they're written, they applied it absolutely spot on. You know, it isn't offside. But I can see where Moyes is coming from. I can see where Slot is going with his comments as well. But it's easy to make that comment when you've won 1-0. You know, if for any reason that we didn't win 1-0, I think he could have a very different attitude. But he also played the comment very, very well about the Tarkowski tackle. It's kind of like Klopp used to do as well. He was like, "What? Why are you asking me? What do you think? Did you see it? What do you think?" You know, and
I like that he said he'd rather
Klopp used to do that all the time.
Jones.
Yeah, it's like, aren't I the best boy for making that decision to put Curtis Jones out of right back? Aren't I fantastic? You know, didn't he do really, really well? And he did. And Slot did it would have been easy for Slot to play Kwanzaa right back. It would have been a safe decision, but he didn't go with the safe decision. He made the brave choice, and it was a brave choice to throw a midfielder in at right back who hasn't played there in a long time and say, "Here you go, do the club a solid for it," and he did. He was fucking brilliant. Delighted.
It suits Jones because it's more time on the ball, which is more his strength for a fullback than it's Kwanzaa's. Yeah. Kwanzaa's good on the ball for a centre back. I don't think he's good. He's not good enough on the ball, I would say, to be a modern day fullback. And there's nothing wrong with that because he's a centre back. That's why you tend to see midfielders do all right at fullback because they're used to the better on the ball.
Yeah. Like Gravenberch has shown the few times that we've had to slot him back in there, or Wataru Endo. I mean, Chris,
even Bacenic, he's done a couple games at right back. So We've got a
Don't
few
mention his name. We're just letting him marinate at Las Palmas for a season.
I'm just saying we have a few like well-rounded players that are kind of coming into they're coming of age.
Let's not get it twisted. We need to fucking sign a right back in the summer.
I'm not saying he's like a new signing.
We're not talking about
saying
fucking
that he's
signing
coming of
players.
age.
I'm not doing any of this signing garbage. You
Oh,
guys
look, part-timer, be
yourselves
quiet.
to over
We'll
the
get to that.
international
Matt
break.
said we can't talk about signings until the summer, so we're going to
You're
skip
not
that.
allowed to talk about signings until the season is over on any show that I'm on. I will have absolutely nothing to do with it because we have more important things to talk about, which is the state of our current team in the current season, which is 12 points clear at the top of the table. I was going to come to you, Kev, but talking about signings, you've now lost your spot. I'm going to go to Chris first. Chris, man of the match, honorable mention, should do better.
Let's have a think. I'll go man of the match, Andy Robbo. Apart from that shot, I actually thought defensively he was really good. Nothing silly. I thought he put some really good balls in. That cross right at the end, which to be fair is a great headed clearance by Braithwaite. I thought he was excellent. Honourable mention, Curtis Jones. Playing that position, did really well. Could do better. Van Dijk, thought he was pretty average today, to be honest. I thought Canati bailed him out a bit too much today. So, yeah, so three of the back line will do me. Thanks very much.
There you are. Ashley, who are your nominees, please?
I think Luis Diaz did really well. I think he's going to be my man of the match. He didn't have a finish at the end of it, but I think that's kind of who he is. I think he needs supporting characters there to kind of finish his creativity. But in terms of like the energy and the willingness to kind of go forward and just like he wasn't sitting back. And I think that was the big thing for this game that I didn't want to see. I didn't want to see our players kind of shirk the responsibility. And I think that he felt like he was just kind of going at 100 miles an hour. And that's what I wanted to see. So even though he didn't finish anything, I just think that he was always involved. So he's my man of the match. Honorable mention, I think that Jones did really, really well. I mean, I said in the beginning that the defenders, I should have clarified, I meant the center backs. The center backs were not going to get an honorable mention, but I do think that Jones did really well. I think that he was cautious. I was expecting a little bit more creativity going into the match when I saw him there, kind of being able to step into midfield and do a couple different things, but he played it safe and I'm okay with that. Not honorable mention, the opposite of honorable mention, the could do better is
dishonorable
Mo Salah
mention
for me. Yeah, the dishonorable mention. I mean, it's not dishonorable. It's Mo Salah, but
you've said it now. It's on the internet.
Yeah, well, whatever. I mean, it's your fault. You put the words in my mouth. I felt like you guys were saying, he's in a bit of a slump. I think that whenever he's in a slump, it doesn't last long, knock on wood. I just thought that he was kind of either marked out of the game or just didn't really get his foot on the ball. It was probably a combination of the two, but for me, it's just such a rarity when he doesn't contribute. And I don't know. I just think he could do better. That's the name of the game, right?
That's exactly. You're allowed to call whoever you want dishonorable, Ashley. That's totally fine. Kev?
I don't want to call him dishonorable.
Yeah,
He
look,
could do better.
That's going to be the thing next week now. Who's on Ashley's dishonorable list?
Yeah, Luis Diaz is man of the match. It's easy, pretty easy shout. I mean, created most chances. He won pretty much most of his duels against the fullback who pocketed Cody Gakpo in the reverse fixture. And he was an absolute man mountain. He did really, really well. Honourable mention, Curtis Jones. Unfamiliar position, safe pair of hands, really good footballer, had a really good night. Could do better. I agree with Ashley. Mo, I think he's suffering more than anyone else from Trent not being there because they just have that link up, that telepathic years and years and years of trust and playing together. They know what each other is thinking. They know where each one of them wants to play and wants to be. And I think having someone like Trent starting and being available gives opposing sides a different problem to handle, that they have to go out to him. And that in turn frees up space for Mo to be able to do a lot more damage. As it stands at the minute, he's been doubled up on almost every game. And he's getting absolutely no space to play in whatsoever. Even if, ideally, and I think you'll probably see this more at Fulham, they'll come out and try and probably play a bit higher. Robinson will, give Salah space to play in. I mean, he's a good fullback, but Mo might have a bit more space to do something against the likes of Fulham than
especially if you stick with the
Everton.
Especially if you stick with the back three. Especially if you stick with the back three as well.
Everton parked the bus, played for the counters. They were effective in trying to get their counters, but it was counters and set pieces, and everything else was 8 behind the ball. And do your worst. It's not the kind of game that Mo is going to flourish in, but I'm not too fussed about it. But, and I don't normally do this before we go, in the gossip pages for tomorrow.
Oh God, he did this to us last time.
Yeah.
Windows doing it for 25 minutes.
Egypt forward Mo Salah is set to extend his contract with Liverpool after months of speculation. That's coming from a French publication. Take it for what it's worth.
I've seen a couple saying 2 years.
It's in the gossip pages for tomorrow.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of chit chat.
Take it for what it's worth. There's a few other little bits in there as well, but we'll talk about them another time.
You are verging very close on summer transfer talk there, Kev.
Kevin's now. It's the haircut. The haircut has made it into an idea.
Matt, who put you in charge?
Gav did. Gav put me in charge.
Yeah, Gav did, yeah.
Oh, he's got lots of answers.
I'm going to go. I've already told you my man of the match was Curtis Jones. An excellent job deputizing it right back. Honorable mention, I would say Gravenberch. I felt he was tidy in the middle of the park there, and he's really starting to stretch his legs getting forward a little bit more. He had that one ball that bounces out, and it comes to Mo Salah. Looks like he might get the chance to head it in, and Branthwaite hooks it clear at the end. And they could do better. I think it has to be Virgil van Dijk, because if Virgil is the Virgil that we're used to, they don't have those two chances in the first half. And all we're talking about is a routine 1-0 victory where Everton didn't have a sniff. And I just expect better, and I'm sure he expects better of himself from that too. But, that's all well and good. We're kind of middle of the week here. We're going to have a few more shows coming around, but do we want to take a whip around and just discuss some of the other results that happened in the midweek games? Ashley, anything catch out and jump to your attention?
I was surprised that Fulham didn't show up yesterday. There was a really bad miss. We were talking about miss of the season. It wasn't miss of the season for Fulham, but it was close. There was a clear chance at the end of the game, and I think they had a couple there that they could have done something with, but they were very passive. And I don't want to kind of throw that out. I have no idea what they're going to look like against us this weekend, but I was just surprised, given their performances throughout this year, to see them be that passive against Arsenal. I didn't see any of the games today because I was too busy, kind of biting my nails and being nervous about our own game today. So,
Ipswich getting a win is a big thing, though, isn't it?
It's too late.
You guys were saying there was a few kind of surprise results today. I saw the Villa scoreline. 3-0 that's a big margin for Villa, and having Asensio and Rashford both get on the score sheet again. That was a really good bit. That was a really good bit of business. And if you look at the players that have left United, they're kind of all doing really well. You look at Alenga, you look at even Anthony, they're kind of all they feel like they're free of the mess that was United, and all of a sudden they're able to kind of be themselves again. And maybe it wasn't the players the entire time, maybe it was the club. Yeah. So those are the things that stood out to me.
Yeah. Kev, just to piggyback on that, Daniel Malen also scored for Villa, so that's 3 of their January signings. And they made a big decision to let Duran go to Saudi for big money in January, when a lot of people were saying, could he take the starting berth from Ollie Watkins because he had that bit of a purple patch, and they cashed in at the perfect time and pulled the trigger on 3 players that are making the difference for him. And I mean, right now with the updated table, Villa are in 7th place on 48 points. That's 1 behind Chelsea, 2 behind Newcastle. Oh, no, that might not even be right. That's not updated for Newcastle. That might be 5 behind Newcastle. I don't know why this isn't updating for me. Yeah, for some reason.
I'll tell you.
What did you like, Kev?
Look, happy for Ipswich because going to Bournemouth is a tough one, especially given what Ipswich are doing and how they're trying to play. That's a massive win. Newcastle, I think, was important for them after winning the League Cup against us. They had the parade and they had the celebrations and everything like that. They had a long time to sit and wait for this fixture. I think it was really important for them to get back in and win. Brentford travel actually pretty well, so that's a massive one. I think there was a show coming up later in the week where we're going to talk about who we think are going to get into the European places. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be toss of a coin because it's literally a case now. It's if you ever watch indoor athletics and you watch the 60-meter sprint, that's what this feels like now. It's not like you're into any side now that can put a run together, any kind of a run together. Where if you can string 3 or 4 wins on the bounce, you could get yourself into a Champions League spot. It's that tight. But last night as well,
Champions League, the Europa League, and the conference, it is an absolute knife fight for
last night as well. Nottingham Forest beating Manchester United 1-0.
Yeah,
that clearance in the last minute of injury
that was
time.
So good.
It's like
I would love him. I would love him as like an extra center back for our team. I just think he's really versatile.
Yeah, he's. I think the way that Nuno Espirito Santo has that side set up is so reminiscent. It makes me just look back at Leicester. When Leicester won the league, they had quality up front, pace, raw pace. Vardy was at his best, but they were solid defensively. They were excellent on the counter, and everyone was waiting for the wheels to fall off. And we're sat here with Nottingham Forest with 8 games to go, and we're all still waiting for the wheels to fall off, and they just fucking ain't.
No.
That's a massive win. That's the first time the Forest have done the double over Manchester United since 1992 or 1991, something like that.
92, I think they said it was.
Yeah, it's a massive result. Massive result.
If Newcastle finish fit in the top 5, then Europe goes down to 8th.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to play for, really.
Yeah.
The only thing to keep an eye on as well is Arsenal got the win yesterday, which is they needed to maintain their challenge of being 12 points behind us with 8 games to go. But that Gabriel injury could be a massive blow for them.
Timber with question marks too.
Timber with question marks. Calafiori's already out for a couple of weeks. Ben White can't get fit. But I think Gabriel is more of a loss than Saliba because I feel like he's the leader of that back four. I think he's the organizer, he's the talker. And I think losing him was some tough ways. And Arsenal still haven't won more than 3 games in a row all season.
But it's yet another hamstring injury.
Yeah.
There's something going on at that club with the way they're training. And it's either the players aren't doing their job properly. By what I mean is they're not stretching properly, they're not doing the basics, they're not warming up properly, warming down properly, or the coaching staff are doing something wrong because you don't have this many hamstring injuries in any normal squad.
He didn't overplay either. He only played 45 minutes over the international break because I think one of you guys had messaged me and said, did he play the full 90 for both games? He didn't. No. He only played 45 minutes. So there, I find it very hard to believe that they're not stretching properly, just in the sense of they're there monitoring them, but there is something going on in terms of red zones and I don't know, figuring out what's going on with the players in terms of travel and whatnot.
Listen, look, I could be wrong, and maybe statistics prove this, but I wouldn't say the style of play Arsenal do is like a high octane, like for early season Klopps, or how Kev's mate plays Big Ange. It's lots of running, it's lots of sprints where you go, we saw with Klopp, we had loads of hamstring injuries when he first joined, but the style of play and the high pressing he wanted to do sort of led to that style of injury. I don't feel like Arsenal are that type of side. They're kind of more of a mid block, and they're actually very good when they have a leader sitting on it and controlling the game and taking the rests on the ball. And so that's why I'm surprised to get as many as they do.
Yeah, it's too bad for them. It's just too bad for them. It can
go with the excuse book anyway, so which would be good.
There it is. Pierce Richmond saying Arteta's selection versus Everton on Saturday will be telling how much belief they have in catching us, because they have quite a large-sized match against Real Madrid coming up midweek.
He won't rest anyone, I don't think, because I don't think his ego will allow him to concede that he thinks it's gone.
No, over his dead body, and that's the reason why it is the Win the Dog Memorial halftime chicken dressing room barbecue bonus round back there. So Spoofers is as Spoofers does. The only thing that matters is that Merseyside Derby number 3,847 has finished. Liverpool 1, Everton 0. I'd like to thank the three for joining me. I'd like to thank everybody that's watched us. We got 300 in here still. If you can hit the like button on your way out, that would be absolutely fantastic. Come and join us on Patreon if you'd like what we're doing here. Check it out for a month for free, even if you want to. We got to get off now because Ashley's got to go and record Reaction Extra, which will drop live on Patreon at 11 o'clock Irish time tomorrow morning. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. 12 points clear, top of the table, up them Reds.